Hello everyone, today I'm going to remove the door panel on the passenger side of a Hyundai Santa Fe 2003, and I'm doing this to get at the speaker, so I'll be also removing the speaker. I believe I've got a ripped speaker or a blown speaker anyway, but basically I'm going to show you how to remove this door panel and how to remove the speaker, and I will measure the speaker out so you know exactly what a replacement size speaker would be, including the depth of the speaker. Here are all the tools that I used to replace the speaker on this video. I will put a link to all these tools at Amazon in the video description or below the video. I used a 5-piece auto trim molding tool set, a standard flathead screwdriver. This is 1/4 inch by 4 inch, so it's a 4-inch quarter inch flathead, a 1.5 inch stubby Phillips number 2, a pair of pliers, a jeweler's screwdriver with a fine tip, another number 2 Phillips. This is a 6-inch blade, so basically a longer number 2 Phillips screwdriver, a 20-watt soldering iron. I also used some 6040 rosin core solder, and also a utility knife. And this is a replacement speaker that I purchased from Amazon as well, and I will put the link to this at Amazon also in the video description. And it's called the Pyle PLG64, and it is a 6.5 inch 30-ounce speaker magnet with 8 ohm resistance, and it is compatible with the Santa Fe. It fits perfectly actually, and you'll see this later on in the video when I'm replacing the OEM speaker. I have tested it out and it does work wonderfully in the car. So and best thing about this, it is a component speaker, and it only costs $15 each. So you can buy them, you can only buy them in singles, and each one will cost you $15 from Amazon. First thing we're going to do to remove the door panel is remove this little cover on the side panel or on the door handle. And basically there's a small little window here we need to remove, or panel. This is covering up the screw that holds this to the door. So we're going to remove that panel, and I'm going to use my precision screwdriver. I'm using the flathead on that. It's very tiny, and basically I'm going to use it to pry off the door, and you pry from the bottom. So pull the door open and just pry it out. Hopefully I'm not in the shot too much. And that's it. It pops out. Now watch, it'll fly off. So no big deal. There's the screw now we need to remove. There's the little door panel, and as you can see there's a little cutout on the bottom. So that's where you want to start prying from. So that's that. And next, we're going to use our number 2 screwdriver and take that center screw off. This panel now it can be easily removed, so we're going to remove the panel next. And basically, all you do is just pull the latch over and pull the panel off like that. Okay, so it just slides right off in this direction off the handle. So that's step 1. The handle will stay attached to the door. We're next going to take the, I believe, 4 screws that are securing the panel to the door off. So I'll show you those next. After removing the door latch screw, there is one more in the door handle, and that's basically just look down and remove the screw. So you get your number 2 in there, turn it and remove it. And now you're ready to start removing the rest of the screws on the door, and then removing the door panel itself. Now we're looking at the edge of the door, and you'll see that there's 2 screws here, one here and one here, and they're covered up. So we got to remove the covers on that. Again, I'm going to use my precision screwdriver as a pry tool. You can use whatever you'd like, but this works pretty good for me. There we go. And don't lose these little guys. They're really easy to lose. They're quite tiny. So when you're prying them off, be careful. They might fly off. So just be careful with that. There's one, and then down at the bottom, we're going to remove the second one. There we go. That's it. That's number 2. And At this point, what we're going to do is going to remove those 2 screws from the side door panel, and that'll leave us with 2 more on the front of the door panel, which I'll show you next. On the inside edge of the door, basically where you see the hinges, you'll see that there's 2 actual screws here that need to remove. One is actually exposed right here, and this one up top, it needs to be uncovered. It's got a screw cover on it, but no big deal. They're both number 2s again, so we're just going to take those off. That bottom one is actually a different size screw. I'll get you a better view of that. There it is. So just note that. You'll notice the difference on all of them. I'm going to be using this door molding pry tool here. It's almost looks like a crowbar, but actually made all out of hardened plastic. Well, that's a good thing. And I'm starting at the bottom corner near the safety light, and I'm going to sneak it in and basically move it up to about here, where the actual stanchion or post that secures the door panel to the steel part of the door, to the door actually, is, and then we're going to pry with it. So I'll start down here. There we go. And there we go. You heard it go snap there. And I'll show you inside so you can see the actual stud that holds that door panel on there. So let's see if I can zoom that in for you a little bit. There's the stud, that blue peg right there. And there's another one near the bottom of the door. So I'll go down that way towards the bottom of the door next and remove that one at the bottom. So if you follow that procedure, you should be good. There we go. That's number 2. And I'll show you all these studs after I get the panel off so you can see what they look like and where they are. That'll help you. So there's 2. I'm going to keep going all the way down the bottom of the door and remove all the rest of them. And then again, like I said, after I remove the panel, I'll show you the actual locations. So next, we're going to lower the window all the way down, and we're going to remove this piece here. Depending on which Santa Fe you have, this may or may not have a speaker in it. Basically, this pries off, so I'm just going to use one of my pry tools here and pry that off. A different angle here so I can do this easier. There we go. And there's one center stud there on that little speaker. You'll see it. It's right about there. And basically just pry it off. At this point, there's a little wire that connects it to the actual door. And it has a little tab on the center. We're just going to remove that tab and then remove the speaker. I'm going to give you a close-up on this. All right, so here's the speaker cover, or the cornered cover that you need to remove. And there's a little stud that I was talking about, that these are the type that are holding on to the door everywhere. And here you'll see a little connector, and all you need to do is push the tab on the top of that connector, and then unlock it and pull it off. That's it. Now we're ready to lift the panel off the door. So we'll do that next. All right, next thing we're going to do is lift the panel off the door. Again, the window should be lowered all the way down. And understand, when you're lifting the panel off the door, you're going to lift in this direction. And basically what you're going to do is, just remove it enough that you can get your hands in to undo the connector for the power window switch and the safety light on the bottom of the door. So let's start that. I'm going to pull the door away at the bottom like this, and then just lift it up. There we go. And at this point, the door is the door panel's hanging by, well, by me and the cables if you're going to let it do that. But I'm just going to rest it back up on top of the door, and I'm going to give you an angle so you can see the connectors we need to remove to get the rest of the door panel, or the door panel free. All right, so now we're looking down into the door panel. I'm supporting the door panel with my hand on top, and down at near the safety light, as you can see, there's a connector, and then all you need to do is press the center tab on that connector and lift it off. So I'm going to do that. Hard to do this, stay out of the angle of the shot, so bear with me. So there it is, and once you quickly unlock the connector, it just pops off. Next, we got to do the power window electrical connector, and I'll show you that. Give you an angle on that, see if you can see it. It is not in the shot. Give me a second. All right, there's the power window connector, and there's a locking tab on the center. Unfortunately, it's on the other side. I can't really show you that. So basically, press down the tab, and I know my hand's in the way, but I'll show you the connector. There we go. There's the female side, the side that goes to the door, and the panel connector is right here with a tab right in the center of it that you need to press down to pull off. Unfortunately, I couldn't show that in the angle, but just push it down all the way, and then remove the connector. All right, once you've got those connectors, the panel just lifts right off, and you can put it aside. I'm going to show you next all the actual lockdowns on the back of the door panel, so you can see where they are when you're pulling the door panel off. Okay, so there's the door panel removed, and the actual studs that hold it onto the door frame are here, 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 there, and there. There's a total of 6, as you can see. And basically, again, if you break any of them, taking them off, don't sweat it. You can buy new ones at any car supply or auto supply shop. Okay, so that's the door panel removed. Next, we're going to get to the speaker, which we're going to remove and take a look at. And at this point, I'm just going to show you what the door panel looks like. Okay, there's the door frame exposed, and as you can see on the lower left, there's the speaker. We're gonna have to take I'm going to take that speaker out of there, probably replace it. It's sort of crackly right now, and I want to find out why. And you know, maybe a ripped speaker, I don't know. But if it needs to be replaced, I will replace it. But I'm going to remove the mount from the door next. Okay, so now we need to remove the speaker connector, and all you need to do that is slide the actual connector off the speaker housing towards the right, or in that direction, and this slides off. There's no lock or anything on it, so there we go. Slides off a rail on the top, and then when you spin the connector around, you'll see that there's a tab on the back of it right there. And what you want to do is just press down on that tab and disconnect the 2 pieces, like so. There we go. Now the speaker housing is free of the electrical wire, as you can see here, and we can remove the actual housing and get at the speaker. All right, we have a total of 4 screws needed to be removed to take the speaker housing off the door. We have one here, 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 and here. And your number 2 Phillips will allow you to remove all those 4 screws without any issue at all. So I'm just going to remove them, and then the housing should just pull off the door. I've removed all 4 screws, and basically at this point you just lift out the housing, and there it is, right off the actual door. So now you're have the assembly out, and you can dismantle the speaker and replace the speaker if it's blown, like it is in my case, or repair it, up to you what you do. But at this point, I've gotten the speaker off the door. I will video how to disassemble the speaker as well from the actual housing, because there is a little further to go. There's screws here, 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 and here, and screws here and here to remove speakers from this housing. Here we have the speaker package removed from the door. You can see it's multiple pieces onto the housing here, and it's composed of 2 speakers, and it is a component system. There are other types of door speakers you can get. They're called coaxial coaxial speakers, and usually they're run by one wire to several speakers, and the crossover is in the speaker. But this is a component system, and it's not that way. Each speaker is driven separately by a separate wire here. So I'm going to replace it all with a component speaker. The mid-range speaker I've tested already, and it sounds fine. It's not crackling or anything, so I'm keeping the mid-range speaker. And it is I couldn't find any of the specs on the back of the speaker when I removed it because there's no sticker or anything or any printing on it at all. But it's a 3-inch mid-range speaker, like so. And these 4 screws will remove it from there. But like I said, I don't have that problem with it. It's perfectly fine, so I'm leaving it in here. Actually, no, I'm going to remove it here and show you the mid-range speaker. Now, I took my digital multimeter on this speaker, and it came out as an a 4 ohm resistance speaker. So if you're going to replace it, make sure you get a 4 ohm on that. I tested the resistance on the bottom speaker, and I got 2 ohms, but the bottom speaker is blown, so I really can't, vouch for its resistance value, as it's already corrupted. Now I'm going to take the speaker out of the other door, and I'll check the ohmage on the unblown speaker and report back to you and put that here on the actual video. But as you can see here, there's a little sticker on it, but it just has a part number on it, and there's no writing on it anywhere. So that's basically it, the speaker. It's a 3-inch mid-range driver, and if you need to know which one's positive and which one's negative, it's also printed right on the cardboard or the backing board here where these studs are actually attached as well. Let's see if I can come a little closer and show you that. I don't think I can. It's too small. But regardless, the small stud, you'll see one is wider than the other. The small stud is the negative, and the large stud, or the wider stud, is the positive. And like I said, it's marked right here on this plate where they're all both mounted. So that's it for the 3.5-inch speaker. I'm not replacing that. I'm not having a problem with it. But if you are, there's all you need to know to replace it. So I'm going to just put that right back into the housing. It's 4 screws, Phillips, number 2. And then I'm going to take apart the woofer from this housing and our speaker package, and I'll show you how to take it all and completely remove that, and then I'm going to put on a new speaker on there, and basically put it back in the door. So I'll show you that procedure as well. There's the 3-inch mid-range speaker. It's perfectly fine on this one. If you need to replace it, get a 4 ohm mid-range 3-inch speaker, and that should do the job for you. I looked at online, and I believe the bottom speaker is a 45-watt speaker. And it's, but I couldn't find any of the ohmage settings, so I'll check that on the other speaker when I take it out of the door, because I'm replacing both of them, both the passenger and the driver's side. The removal of the package on the on the driver's side is exactly the same. I do have a video on removing the door panel on the driver's side, so you can watch that to see what the differences are. It is slightly different because it's got the power window package on it, but it's actually not the power window package, but the mirror control on it. So there is a little extra on it, so you may want to watch that if you're doing the driver's side. So let's take this package apart, or this housing apart. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 screws, so we're going to take those off, and they're slightly hidden behind the rubber. All right, there's all the 4 screws taken off, and once you do that, the rear part of the housing comes off. Now, see that it's got an actual notch here for the wires to route through. That's one of the things to note there, that notch is there, and that is there to route the wires. Number 1. Number 2, it's got a little stud. The bracket has a little stud right here that's keyed into the speaker. I'm not sure whether my new speakers are going to have that stud in them or not. It's basically right here, and if my new speaker doesn't have that, well, then I'll just have to drill it with my hand drill. No big deal, just put a little hole there for that, or break the stud off, but I'm going to keep the stud on there if I can. So there's the rear housing off of that, and the diameter of that bottom hole where your magnet on your speaker sticks through. So let's just show you that again here. Like so. All right, see the speaker magnet? So it's cut out to that. So basically, that diameter on that is, so this is the maximum speaker magnet diameter you're going to be able to get in there. And it's about 4 inches, just slightly smaller than 4 inches. And so if your magnet is bigger than that, it won't fit in this housing without, you know, either dremeling this out or cutting this out to make it a slight bit larger to make the magnet fit. So totally doable if you need to do that. I don't know if I'm going to need to do that with my new speakers. We'll find out when we start putting when we unpackage them and put them, you know, into that housing. So now we have the woofer exposed. It's a 6.5-inch woofer, and at this point, probably the easiest thing to do is to desolder these wires, and you know, to note which one goes to which. And the white goes to the white goes to the positive on this speaker. Let me zoom that in. There we go. So the white goes to the positive, and you can see it right there on the little plaque that this or post that this is actually wired on. Right here, you see that it says positive. Hopefully you can see that. I mean, there we go. You see the positive there. So white goes to the positive, which is the wider stud, and then negative, which is the black wire, goes to the skinnier stud there, or post, and it is actually marked there on the what do you call it, the post, the board that this post is attached to. So it's marked on the inside, and so black goes to the small, the narrow post, and white goes to the wider post, which is positive. So I'm going to take my soldering gun and desolder these two wires, and then we'll continue removing the speaker. All right, so I'm going to desolder these two wires. I'm using a little 20 watt Radio Shack basic pen type soldering iron, and like I said, 20 watts, plenty enough for this job. And I'm just going to heat up the post until the solder melts and then pull the wire off. Now remember, you're dealing with heat here, so watch your fingers. There's the positive, and now we'll do the negative on this side. There we go. So that's those two wires taken off those posts. Now we're ready to disassemble the rest of the speaker. We got the wires off the woofer now. We're ready to remove the top housing from the actual woofer itself. This plastic piece here is just an adhesive holding it onto the woofer. So I'm just gonna use a normal standard flathead screwdriver here and just use it to pry this off, and basically move it all along the edge until we get that speaker apart. Now be careful with your dome here on this mid-range speaker. You don't want to crush it or break it. So, you know, we only want to replace one speaker today. There we go. So basically get in underneath there and then pry it off, and you'll see the adhesive along the top of the speaker here. There we go. And a little broken there, but it doesn't really matter. That adhesive doesn't matter at this point, as comes off with the speaker, and we're replacing this puppy right here. Now, one thing I wanted to show you is the depth of the speaker too. I didn't measure it because the housing was on there. There's the housing right off of there, and like I said, be careful with the dome on that speaker, and this be gentle with that. Put it aside somewhere where it's not going to get hurt. And let's measure how deep the speaker is, so you know that, you know, how deep you can go into the door. And looking at that, we're about 3 inches in. You probably get away with a little more than 3 inches from the top of the speaker down, but that's what I'm measuring right now, 3 inches. So I have bought a replacement speaker for this. It is zoom this out a little bit more. I used a Pyle Gear 6.5-inch performance woofer. Again, it's just a 6.5-inch flat woofer. Not, you know, it's good for a component system. Let me zoom in on that a little bit. And it is a PLG64 6.5-inch high performance woofer. And they say it's 300 watts, and You know, who knows what the actual performance of it is. I'm not an audiophile, so I'm not putting this in here to win any contest. I'm just using it as a replacement speaker. I got it on Amazon for $15 delivered to me, so which I thought was a very fair price. So let's take it out of the actual, and it is a 4 ohm speaker. So I'm going to take it out of the actual case here, or box, and see what we got. Okay. Got the instruction manual there for several different types of speakers. It's well packaged. Let's take it out of the actual container, and there we go. And looks like a really nicely manufactured speaker. You know, very pretty. So unfortunately, no one's going to see it when it's inside the door, but it is 6.5 inch. Let's measure it out. Yep, perfect size. And it does have 4 screw holes in it. Do they match up? They do. I don't know if it's pegged anywhere in the back. It's not. So I'm going to have to drill a small hole in it to match the stud on the housing right here. We'll see whether I'm going to do that or just snap the stud off of there and screw it on correctly. Again, looks like a nice speaker. Let's look at the back. This is what my concern was. This large, it's got a very large magnet on the back, and it is just over 4 inches in size. So I don't know if that's going to fit on the back. Now, number 2 thing we need to do is check the depth, and depth on that is just over 3 inches in depth. So that's not bad. That'll work. But this whole piece here being bigger than 4 inches will probably give me a problem here, and it does, as it won't fit over the magnet. But there is a easy fix to this, and the easy fix to this is that this piece here, the magnet has this rubber cover on it, and it says right on the actual box itself that it has a rubber magnet cover. So as you can see here all the way along. So I'm going to just pull that rubber magnet cover off. We don't need it. It's just pretty. It looks nice. Let's get it off of there. And it just peels off like so. So if you have this speaker and you can't get it to fit somewhere, you can get a little extra of the size off by taking this rubber wristband off the actual speaker magnet. Let's see what we got here. Yeah, that brings it down quite a bit, just below 4 inches. Let's see if that fits this cover now. And it does. Look at that. Beautiful. So it will fit if you take this rubber ring off the magnet, which is perfect. I was a little concerned about that when I ordered them because I saw the size of the magnet, but fits perfect there. So next, we're going to mount it inside that package. I may drill it out. Let's see. Here's the 2 speakers. And basically what we need to do is, I'm going to drill a little hole in it right here and measure it from the actual, this stud to that hole. And I'm just going to take my drill and put a little hole through it. And that'll match the stud on the actual bracket right here. Where is it here? And then we'll be off to the races. We'll mount it back up. We'll solder the wires back on and go from there. Okay, I found a small problem between the 2 speakers and compatibility. Number 1 thing is that the holes on the Pyle speakers are not in the same place in comparison to where the mounting holes are on the OEM speakers that came with the actual Santa Fe. So basically at this point, no big deal. The holes don't match, so the stud on this bracket is not going to fit. You know, basically I'd have to finagle where I'm going to put that stud, and by the looks of it, it would more or less be more of a pain in the butt than anything else. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to break off that stud. I'm just going to use a utility knife to cut that off and not worry about it, and then match the holes on this as best I can with the holes on the speaker, which I do think align more or less like this, which is close enough. to route the wire through there without any issue at all. So we're going to do that. I'm going to snap that stud off of there and or peg, and then we're going to put this back together again and solder these connections onto the speaker wires. So I used a utility knife there to cut that little stud off. It's gone and it's flush to the surface, so it won't interfere with the speaker. The holes are actually aligned more or less perfectly for the speaker, so they'll just drop in there and you can screw it in. So you want to be careful here with the speaker, and you want the terminal plate here to be as close to that notch as possible while still getting the screws in the right place. So we're going to do that, and I believe it's this way is going to be the best. So I'm going to turn it upside down so you can see it. And so the channel right here for the wires is going to be the closest to the right side of that connector. Hopefully that'll work out just fine. Let's put it together, see what we get. And I noticed right away that it's going to be really tough to actually solder those points on there once I get that on there. So I'm just going to do about a 45-degree change on this, like so. And now, but now the channel's really far away. So I'm going to put it back here. I'm going to solder the wires on and then lower the package on top of it. Let's see, is that going to work? Yeah, right there will work. So there's how I'm going to put it back in. I'm going to bend these tabs up so that they're easier to solder onto the wire onto, and we'll do that next. So take these tabs, don't worry about bending them, no big deal. They're just made out of metal and they do bend. There we go. Got them bent up straight. And now I'm going to solder my wires. Positive is on the right side, negative is on the left side, and they're actually labeled right here on the actual plate where they're mounted. Okay, so I'm going to test fit this and solder the wires. You can see the screws are stayed into the top part of the cover, or the top speaker housing, the mid-range speaker housing, and that's a good thing actually. And I'm going to fit this Pyle speaker right on top of those screws. Now the original had adhesive all the way around the speaker. We don't really need that because we've got 4 screws that are going to be holding this secure to the top of this speaker. You may want to use it, I'm not sure, but I'm not bothering with putting any adhesive on there. And basically here we go. It fits nicely that way. Next I'm going to take this cover here and basically put it on so that the wire will fit through the channel right here, and then I can actually solder it on right there. So I'm going to, like I said, test fit this all by screwing it together first before I do any soldering, anything permanent, and then I'll show you how I soldered this together. So there we go. I've attached the top to the bottom. As you can see, it's nice all the way around. You see the yellow edge here on the top, from the top to the bottom housing. Nice secure fit. It's going to be really, really solid in the door. And again, the terminals are exposed. The channel is right there, as you can see, for the wire. So I'm going to feed the wires through there and then solder them onto here, onto the positive and negative leads. And they gave us lots of wire on that, so we have lots of room to fool around and actually solder that onto the actual terminal. So we're going to do that next. So my soldering iron is nice and hot. I got a little bit of solder here I'm going to use. Basically it's 6040 rosin core solder, and again, this is Radio Shack. And basically I'm going to put a blob on each actual post and melt it in a little bit. Actually, no, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the wire through and then I'm going to put the lead on it, as that's going to be a much easier way to handle it. Now, notice that the wire, is going to be near the speaker. So you want to be, put it through in a way that it sort of avoid it from basically making contact with the surface of the speaker over here, because if you touch the speaker with a wire, you're going to get a rattle. So let me just fish that through. There's a little eye in the center of the connector, and that's where I'm going to fish the wire through like that. And then I'm going to hook it in there using my screwdriver. That magnet's really powerful, I'll tell you that. Anyways, just hook it through like so that the wire stays, put on the center. And remember, white to the positive. In this case, the positive is at the top, so white to the positive up here, black to the negative. So we're going to do that on the negative side as well. Sorry if I'm in the shot, but there really is no other way to do this. Fish it through there. A little needle nose would probably be handy here. Make sure we keep both of them in there. Yeah, it's a tight spot, that's for sure. There we go. So I've got both of them in there. Got the wire all the way through the hole. I'm going to hook it so it doesn't come off around the post. Just like that. There we go. One. Do that with the other one. Like so. So we've got a nice contact on the post surface. There we go. And next we're going to put some solder on there and basically make it permanent. So I apply heat to the actual post. Put a little bit of solder on my gun there. There we go. And melt it down. There we go. And make sure that I get lots of heat on it. That's number one, the positive side. Good and solid. Do the other side too. Negative side. Heat to the post. And lots of solder, it doesn't hurt. You got lots, use lots. Try not to drip it though. There is a plastic driver underneath and that will melt it. Again, I'm sorry if I'm in the shot, but this is the only way to do this. There we go. Put some more on both sides. You got lots, use lots. One. And notice that I'm heating the post and the wire at the same time. You want both surfaces to have the same temperature. Okay, I think we're good there. I understand this is hot, so be careful with the hot elements. I'm going to pull the wire back down through. As I can see, they're well attached. Yep, they're not going anywhere. Make sure. Yeah, she's solid and it's not going anywhere. Okay, both are soldered on there nice and tight. We're ready to go. I pull the cable through the actual channel here as much as possible just to avoid any contact with the speaker surface, and I'm nowhere near it. So we're good there. And at this point, we're ready to put that speaker, the wire soldered on nice and tight, not going anywhere. And next, you see that the wire goes through the channel here on the speaker. And it's unfortunate because it's a very pretty looking speaker. We're never going to see it inside the door. But basically the function is going to be perfect. So there it is, soldered on. And now we're just going to put it back in the door. So now we're going to put the speaker back in the door, and it's just the exact reverse procedure from taking it out. I've already test fitted it in there, and it works and fits perfectly. It doesn't interfere with the window on the back either, so that's a nice, definitely a nice bonus. It is a slightly deeper speaker. See if you can see it there, but it doesn't matter. There's enough space there for clearance. Nothing touches, at least on mine. You may want to check it after you've installed it on the door and connected it electrically to see if it's working correctly. And if it isn't, then you can fix whatever's wrong with it at that point. But just check it before you put the door skin back on. And then after you've done checking it, put the door skin back on and enjoy. Okay, you might want to put a couple screws in there loosely first. Then we're going to connect this connector. And remember that it slides on a little rail on the bottom of the speaker. So we're going to put that in there now. Just like that. And tuck the wires out of the way. Now, the reason I'm putting the screws in loosely is because you want to get a nice fit. When the screws are in loose, they'll center the speaker up, and then you can tighten them all up after they're all in there. Now we're going to put the door panel back on, and all the appropriate screws and connectors. Basically, it's the reverse procedure of taking the panel off. So putting the door panel back on is the exact reverse procedure of taking it off. First, you're going to hang it a little bit. Then you're going to connect the electrical connectors, which are the power window and safety light on the bottom corner. When you're hanging it, the only thing that's going to matter here, well, not matter, but be a little tricky, is you have to get the opening on the door through the door handle correctly, or it won't hang right. So let's do that. Actually, let's put I like to put the connectors on before I hang it, so I'll do that. There we go. Then another thing to watch out for here is the tweeter wire. Make sure it's above, not below, so you don't have to pull the door panel off again to get at the wire. We go. Snap all the connectors in by pushing it on the bottom of the door. Make sure it's nice and flush. And then now put the screws back in. And after you're done putting the screws back in, don't forget the panel here and the screw in the door handle. And the tweeter goes in, I would say, the last. Prior to putting any of the screws in, make sure your window's still, power window works okay. So let's test that. Looking good. The stereo sounding perfect. I can't really test it for you because there's copyright issues, as you said. It sounds beautiful. I've already tested it out. And okay, so we're going to put the door panel back together here. A tweeter can go in right away. That's no issue. Just connect it. You want the bottom of the panel to go in first. Like that. So when you're taking it off, take it off from the top. That's it. And now we're going to put the door handle cover. Put the little cover back on. Now I'm going to put the screw in the door handle, or the door handle here that goes to the bottom of the door. That's how you replace this door speaker on a Hyundai Santa Fe 2003. The other side is very similar. The only difference is the power window actuator, which is here on the other side. And I do have a video showing you how to take the door panel off on the other side. So if you want to watch that video to see how the driver's side comes off, you can watch that video, and the speaker replacement is exactly the same. That's it for my video. Thank you very much for watching. If you like this video and it helped you out in some way, do me a favor, click on the like button right down here. And you know, if you wish to subscribe to my channel, just click on this link up here. And that should subscribe you to the Richard Lloyd channel, or Richard Lloyd USA channel. Okay, again, thank you very much for your time and watching.